You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? Perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is our very first iteration of an older brew using Wilds of Eldraine cards following the launch of Wilds of Eldraine. So I'm super excited about it. Before we break down the deck, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons over at patreon.com/quarantinedcapricorn. That's Yuckfoozy, Squirrel, Noah Vincent, and Brittany at the Brew Crew Elite tier, and then of course our forever CPU savior, Terrence Rohrbach. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for the support. If anybody else out there is interested in how they can support the channel, please check out the Patreon. There's some cool stuff over there. Patreon.com/quarantinedcapricorn. Today's deck is called Perfect Eclipse, and this is the newest incarnation of our Azorius Flash deck that I've been upgrading with every set, and this is the best version yet. We get Werefox Bodyguard, we get Virtue of Loyalty, we get Horned Loch-Whale. This deck is nuts. We're gonna break it down. It gets tons of wins. Still nobody's playing this. I don't know how nobody in the MTG community, nobody playing on the ranked ladder is playing this deck, because it's insane. It has a really good win rate. I don't know what the win rate is now because this version is very new, but the deck's nuts. I can't believe no one's playing it. You should play it. But before we break down the deck and get to it, please like, please subscribe, please leave me a comment down below telling me how this deck is not as good as I think it is, because you're wrong. But I mean, I'm excited to hear that from you. And now also, catch me on Twitch, live, every Monday through Friday, at twitch.tv/quarantinedcapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. In fact, tonight's community night, every Thursday, you can play games against me, so head over there, subscribe, follow, do the thing, do all the stuff, and enough of that. Let's break down this deck. Alright, so this deck is really insane. The core of the deck is something I've been iterating on for multiple sets now. Every time a new set comes out, I add newer cards to it and I make the deck even better. And the fact that Standard did not rotate this year means this deck is that much better, and it's actually kind of insane. We have 3 new cards in the deck that we'll talk about, but I'm going to start at the bottom of the curve first and let you guys know what this deck's all about. I'm also going to link up above a link to the old version so you can see what that was like and how these new improvements from Wilds of Eldraine are actually putting in a lot of work to make the deck even better. So we have 4 Fading Hope as a 1-drop. The entire deck is built around being able to cast almost everything at instant speed on our opponent's turn. And mostly that's so that we can utilize the day-night cycle, which we'll get to in a little bit. But having something like Fading Hope means we can easily use it on their turn, but we can also use it to double spell on our turn to switch it to day if we're in night, if we need to, because it's just 1 mana. But being able to get rid of an early threat, or being able to save one of our own creatures that's targeted by removal, bring it back to our hand and scry, is pretty huge. Moving on to the 2-drops, we have 4 Resolute Reinforcements. This is going to give us 2 1/1 bodies for just 1 card, and that pairs really well with Protect the Negotiators. We have 4 of these. If we kick it, we get an extra 1/1, so it will add board presence, which most of what you want to consider about this deck is almost everything has some sort of way of dealing with what the opponent's doing while also contributing to board presence. So the potential to just tempo out our opponents by constantly building our board state while simultaneously dealing with their threats is huge. And Protect the Negotiators does that. It adds a 1/1 to the board, it counters the spell early game, and even into the late game, we tend to have a pretty wide board with this deck, and it can continue to counter things. We've also got 4 Faerie Mastermind, one of the best flash creatures, absolutely insane. 2/1 flash flying. Whenever they draw an extra card on their turn, or I should say their second card on their turn, we get to draw a card. And we can force them to draw by paying 4. This is great to flash in response to them playing a card draw spell. We always get that card draw no matter what, even if they're able to deal with the Faerie Mastermind right away. But it also just sits there on the field and adds to our tempo plan, because it is a threat that can help close out the game in the air if they don't deal with it. We've also got 4 Spectral Adversary. Not only is this a 2/1 flash flyer that can contribute to that tempo that we were talking about, but as we get more mana later and later in the game, we can use this to save our own guys from removal in response by phasing them out if they're targeted by removal, sometimes even phasing out half of our board if there's a sweeper coming, and be able to just come back from that very easily. But we can also use this to phase out key creatures on the opponent's side when we want to swing into Alpha Strike, or if we need to keep ourselves alive with a Sheoldred that we're facing down, we can phase it out at the end of their turn so that we don't take damage when we draw. There's a lot of cool stuff the adversary can do, and it's very versatile. Moving on to the 3-drop slot, we're going to talk about the core of what this deck is trying to do. We've got 4 Gavony Dawnguard. Now, this guy is probably the most underrated card in Standard right now. It is so good. The problem is you have to tool your deck in a very specific way to get the maximum amount of value on this. This is a 3-drop 3/3. It has Ward 1, so it puts your opponent behind curve a little bit in trying to deal with it if they try to deal with it, which means it's really good to slam on turn 3, bam, get it down, make it difficult for your opponent to deal with it, and get some value off of it. By the time they can deal with it, or by the time they realize how good it is and that they need to deal with it, you've got your value off of it, and it won't matter as much. But what this does is every time it changes from day to night or night to day, you get to look at the top 4 cards of your library and pick a creature that costs 3 or less and put it into your hand. And we have so many creatures in this deck that cost 3 or less that are played at flash speed, that this ability is nuts. And being able to play almost everything in the deck at flash speed means that we can almost perfectly control the day-night cycle. We can always make it so that if it's night, we can just double spell on our turn it to day. If it's day, we can just say go and play all the stuff we would be playing on our turn, just on our opponent's turn. So we still get to play everything out, but we get to make it flip to night so that we can get a card off the Dawnguard. And we just get so much value out of this. It is consistently drawing us a card at the end of our turn and a card at the end of their turn, and it's always a relevant creature we can use and never a dead land. So absolute insanity to get 2 relevant spells every turn cycle from Dawnguard is nuts. And in similar fashion, we use Brutal Cathar the same way. 3 mana for a 2/2, comes in, exiles one of their creatures, but if it changes to night, it becomes a 3/3 first strike with ward, pay 3 life, and then if it goes back to day, we get to exile something else. And a lot of times what we can do with the Brutal Cathar, and our opponent will be scratching their head, is we can play it on 3, we can exile a token so that they don't want to kill the Brutal Cathar, because they don't realize how much value we can get out of it over the course of the game. It's just a 2/2 at that point. Or sometimes we play it like a Trojan horse. You just slam it in there, you don't even exile anything, and our opponent scratches their head. And by the time they realize how big of a threat it is, and that it's going to start exiling something every turn cycle because of our flash shenanigans, they try to deal with it, but we have mana held up, and we can protect our Brutal Cathar. So by the time they realize it's a threat, it's already putting in work, exiling multiple creatures, and it's just so much value, it's insane. We've also got 1 Errant and Giada. It's legendary. We don't really want to see a second with one of these, but I almost look at it as a 5th Gavony Dawnguard in a way. We can flash it out as a 2/3 flyer for 3 on our opponent's turn after they don't have the opportunity to use sorcery speed removal on it, and then it makes it so that we can play spells with flash or flying from the top of our library. So we get extra value off the top of our library to just never run out of gas. It's very similar to the Dawnguard in that fashion. I still think the Dawnguard is better, but the fact that Errant and Giada can be flashed in as well and works with that kind of what we're trying to do already with the deck really does make it worth including. So we've got 1 copy. But not only are we running these 4 Brutal Cathars, we're also running 3 Wandering Embers, and that can exile whatever we want, but it can also contribute to board presence. Like I said before, almost everything in the deck can deal with what our opponent's doing while also contributing to board presence. So this can exile a problematic card, but it can also start to build a board for us with tokens, so that tempo advantage we get in the early game just slams home and closes out the game. Now, we've got new cards which are absolutely nutty. First, I want to talk about Werefox Bodyguard. This is essentially Brutal Cathar 5 through 8, and in this deck, it perfectly synergizes with everything. It doesn't get the repeated use of Brutal Cathar by day-night cycling, you know, but it has flash, so it works with all our flash synergies. It costs 3 or less, so we can grab it off the top with a Dawnguard. It has flash so that we can play it off the top with Errant and Giada. There's just so much synergy with what the deck's doing, and the deck being able to go from 4 exile creatures to 8 exile creatures now, from the old version to this version, makes it way better at dealing with aggro and mid-range strategies, and even control. Because the great thing about the Bodyguard is because it's a flash body, even if we don't have a creature to hit on the other side, if we're playing a control deck and they're creature light, we can still just flash it in at the end of turn, have another body to swing with that's hard for them to deal with because it's a flash creature. But there's so much nuance to the value we can get out of the Bodyguard. We can flash it in to save one of our own creatures. They try to kill our Dawnguard. We flash in the Werefox Bodyguard, exile it, and then whenever we want, we can just pay the 2 mana, sacrifice this. Not only do we get our Dawnguard back, probably right before we're about to change day-night cycle, so we can get a card off it as well, but we also gain 2 life, and that's pretty nutty. The fact that we can gain 2 life just in general off this helps it be way better against aggro, and then we can also use this as sort of sweeper protection, because in response to a sweeper, we can just flash it in, exile one of our dudes, and then the sweeper hits our Bodyguard, our dude comes back, which is awesome. But also being able to sacrifice this for 2 mana means if we exile one of their creatures earlier, and then we have the 2 mana up and they try to sweep the board, now we can sacrifice the Bodyguard in response. So instead of the Bodyguard dying as part of the sweeper, everything dying, but them getting their creature back from the Bodyguard, well, now we kill our own Bodyguard in response. Their creature comes back, and then the sweeper kills their creature. So there's so much little nuance packed into this guy. I think he's one of the best cards in the set, and he absolutely takes this deck to the next level. Speaking of next level and other new cards, we've got 2 Virtue of Loyalty here. I'm tempted to go up to 3, but I think 2 might be the right number. For 5 mana, it's an enchantment that at the beginning of your end step, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control and untap those creatures. So if you get to the end of your tempo game, where you've been out-tempoing your opponent every turn and now you're out of gas, you can just slam this and brute force your way into ending the game because you're swinging with more and more power every turn, even though maybe you're out of gas in your hand, and they're untapping to block so that your opponent can't race you. Absolutely insane. Now, if that was all the card did, it probably wouldn't be worth an inclusion, but that part of the card is just free extra value, because what we're really doing with this is Ardenvale Fealty. 2 mana for an instant. This is the adventure side of it. You create a 2/2 White Knight creature token with Vigilance. A lot of people look at this and they just say 2/2 Vigilance for 2, not that great. But you gotta remember, because it's an instant, it's more like it's a 2/2 Flash Vigilance, which is insane. You can flash it in combat to block something and kill something that they thought was safe, that they didn't want to die, and that can be really good. Or you can flash it in at the end of their turn so that you're able to put pressure on them in ways they didn't expect and avoid sorcery speed removal. Like, that Ardenvale Fealty is almost good enough just by itself to be in this deck. The fact that then you have Virtue of Loyalty exiled and sitting off to the side and just waiting for whenever you happen to run out of gas, whenever you have nothing else to do, you can just slam it and double down on your board to take the game to its conclusion, makes this card way over the top in this deck. So I am considering a 3rd copy, but I think 2 might be right, and there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, this does not have flash or flying. technically. So Errant and Giada can't play it from the top. And it isn't a creature that costs 3 or less, so we can't find it with the Dawnguard. Because of that, we need to be careful about our numbers. I could see going up to 3. I definitely wouldn't run 4. But I think there's a careful balance here between do we go 2 or do we go 3. But definitely at least 2. And if we're not going 3 on this, that last card slot we have left to fill, I'm trying out Horned Loch-Whale. Now, the creature side of this is a bit expensive, so it's not going to come into play too often. But again, just like the virtue of loyalty, if we get to the end of our card advantage, if we're completely out of gas and this is still sitting in exile and we can play it as the creature, it's something that continues to ramp our board state and continues to put pressure on our opponent, even if a lot of the time it's not going to come up. It is a 6/6 flash ward 2 creature, but if it enters on their turn, it enters tapped. So we can't really blow them out by blocking with it, but still, it's extra beef on the board for free that comes attached to the real reason that we're playing this card, which is Lagoon Breach. 1 blue and 1 for an instant. The owner of target attacking creature you don't control puts it on the top or bottom of their library. And this sort of a spell is actually a lot better than it looks on first glance, because it looks like you're just bouncing, and it's just a more expensive Fading Hope. But in reality, them having to choose top or bottom is super good. If they choose bottom, it's effectively better than exiling the creature, because not only do they not get it back, and they never will get it back unless they shuffle their deck somehow, but exile has certain ways to interact with it that you can get edge values if they're playing certain cards. So the fact that this doesn't actually exile, but effectively exiles it if they choose bottom, makes it really good removal. And then if they choose top, it's like you bounced it and they skipped their next draw step. And if you think of it like that, where they have to draw this next, is like they didn't draw the thing they would have drawn. It's like bouncing something and making them skip their next draw step. And when you think of it like that, that is a ton of tempo value in a deck that is completely trying to leverage tempo. So either one that they choose is super good for you. I would not be surprised if this card pops up in more deck lists and maybe is considerable for more slots. But again, this having flash means we can play it with Errant and Giada, but we can't grab it off the top with Gavony Dawnguard, which is the bulk of our card advantage, because it is a 6-drop. So I'm hesitant to add more, but I had to throw one in because it's a new card and it's so good and it's super fun. So this is the deck. We've got one Mirrex just because, again, if we're leveraging tempo and we get out of cards and we get to that late game, being able to make a token every turn could be enough to just barely put us over the edge and get the win, especially combined with the virtue of loyalty. But we're also able to run 16 dual lands. The Seachrome Coasts are great, Deserted Beach, Adarkar Wastes, and we're even running the Beachheads, because even though this isn't a soldier deck, we actually have 16 soldiers just by chance. We've got 4 Resolute Reinforcements, 4 Brutal Cathar, 4 Gavony Dawnguard, and Protect the Negotiators actually makes a soldier token when you kick it. So we actually have a decent amount of soldiers, and we can run these Fortified Beachheads, and in some games that extra pump does actually win us the game. Being able to pay 5, tap this when you're out of gas to just buff up your reinforcements, your reinforcement tokens, your Dawnguards, your Brutal Cathars, whatever, is just that little bit of extra value that can sometimes get the game won. So we have all of these little ways in which a number of different cards are contributing this extra little bit of silver lining value when we're out of gas. And I think that really helps put the deck over the top, but I haven't seen anybody else playing this. We're also jamming 1 Otawara, 1 Eiganjo, 1 Plains, and 1 Island, and I think the deck is practically perfect. I could see maybe adding a 4th Wandering Emperor, and maybe cutting the Horned Loch-Whale or something like that, but as it stands, the deck is super powerful. It gets tons of wins, nobody uses it, and this is definitely absolutely the most powerful incarnation of this deck. I'm gonna stop rambling now, and we're gonna go check out the games because they are wild. This looks good. Keep it. Start with Deserted Beach. Mirrex on 2 for probably Faerie Mastermind. Scrael? Alright, plains instead. Denick. Sick. You moron. Smash. Seems pretty good. Hello. We have a million options for next turn. A million. Thalia. Flashing the Emperor now.
Anyone who harms my people must contend with me.
Resolve it.
Keep watch for intruders.
And he draws a card, which means we draw a card.
Pieces.
So good. So good.
I have got new
Swing
moves to
8.
teach you.
And we'll hold up all of these beautiful spells. And end the turn. Sheoldred. No. There will be none of that. That's what I thought. I'm still kind of learning how to play this deck. There's a different sort of cadence to it now with the increased number of 3-drops. Start with Seachrome Coast. Will Fading Hope his dude. Guess he doesn't have a dude. At least the Werefox Bodyguards can sack for life. That's kind of cool. And we're just gonna slam this. He has to lightning strike it, and he can't this turn, and he already used one. So Ward, you moron. What a fool. If he had saved it, he would have been able to use it. I think we automatically win because of that. We definitely automatically win. With the bodyguards being able to sack for 2 life. There's not a chance in hell he comes back here. Feldon. Get out of here. Goodbye. Risky. If we're up against aggro, this is actually a good hand. We can Fading Hope and Scry in the process. But if we don't get to Scry into what we need, it's going to be very bad. I think we got a mulligan. Keep this. Toss away the Fading Hope. But the beetle doesn't have Death Touch. It can only kill a 1/1. Its bite is only somewhat infectious. Gaiman. Dreams of Steel and Oil. I mean, I think you discard Resolute Reinforcements here. So you're just gonna give up? Hello? What the hell is going on here? Well, yeah, because they find Zalortha's Achilles heel. They nick a major artery and he goes down. That's why his toughness is so low. He's huge, but access to his major arteries is like right there because he's so fucking big, you know? The reason that the wolf pack does so much damage is because they're like so fast. They're getting multiple hits in one attack phase. And it adds up to 7. But they're not first strike fast because they're very hesitant. They're very careful and patient. They lie in waiting and strike at just the right time. They don't pounce immediately reactionary. That's why it's not first strike. Our opponent kind of sucks, huh? Opponent kind of sucks balls. Lots of balls in their mouth, gurgling the balls. Sick. This deck loves to play Brutal Cathar with no target. Because it's a Trojan horse. We get it out there, our opponent thinks it's a misplay. But we abuse the hell out of day-night cycle to the point where we get multiple triggers off of it, and it doesn't matter. You think I tell good bedtime stories? I don't like that you bring up bedtime stories after I talk about gurgling balls. Oh, Nord. What am I gonna do with you? Still owe you a double or nothing, Nord. Still got that card. Siphoning my insight. How rude. I think we win the tempo game though. Unless he's got a cut down right here. If we untap with our Brutal Cathar still on the board, we're in real good shape. Oh no, he's got Rona's Vortex. We're still gonna jam it, because if he kills Shelly, all we have to do is untap, say go. Shelly dies. Right? Oh wait, no, because we'd go to a 3/3 first striker. Siphon Insight again. Fall asleep, Duarte. I mean, I'm completely fine with that. With him wasting all of his temporary removal and running out of card advantage, and me just being able to keep recasting things. Doesn't really work unless you're creating board presence or refilling your hand at a faster rate. Another Siphon Insight. Okay, buddy. Is that all you do? You just Siphon Insight all day? Resolute Reinforcements. I'm okay with that. So if I counterspell it right now, I don't get to draw off Gavony Dawnguard. I'd rather draw off Gavony Dawnguard and then counterspell something nasty this turn. Like a Shieldred. If he has a land, then I can't counterspell Shieldred, which is sad. But I can Brutal Cathar it. That's fine. Alright, if he plays another spell, our Dawnguard triggers. I'd rather keep my 1/1s. I don't really care about his 1/1s, but we need our 1/1s for Protect the Negotiators. So I'd rather do it this way. End the turn. Errant and Giada. That's fine. He's not going to be able to use it very well. I think I'd rather just hold up the Wandering Emperor here and protect the Negotiators for something potentially worse. Make him pay 4, and he could, so... Pay the Lord. Cursed Roll a token. If we had a blue mana, I could save it with Spectral Adversary. But I mean, it's fine. It still has its abilities, right? Yeah. I don't even care. My turn. Okay. Counterspell? As long as he can't play Sheoldred, it's too late for him to play Sheoldred, so... Oh god. The Master of the House made a huge mess. Sick. Brutal Cathar dies, we get back our Errant and Giada, which is kind of amazing. We'll swing in 2, we'll trade 1. If he doesn't play anything, we trigger the Dawnguard, which is hilarious. Thanks. We'll keep this. We got no 2-drops, which is a bummer, but we do have a Fading Hope. And the Fading Hope should stall us out long enough to get there, at least. Alright. Alright, Underdog. We'll scry into a 3rd land. Definitely not Wandering Emperor. Thank you. And then we're going to hold up either Werefox Bodyguard or Errant and Giada. Sure. Alright. We'll Errant and Giada. So we can probably get some value off of it. Alright, we'll swing. I think we want to Werefox Bodyguard rather than Brutal Cathar. Because we could also use the Bodyguard to protect our Errant and Giada. We could also just Lagoon Breach if we really wanted to. Although I think that's better to save for when we can double spell. Alright, you're gonna ping for 1, sure. Another one, sure. You could still cut down the Werefox Bodyguard, which is bad. But I think we need to try. Worst case scenario, we eat a piece of removal and fog him for the turn. And that seems fine to me. Swing 4. He's got no attacker, so Lagoon Breach isn't going to be good here. We're just going to put a Brutal Cathar out to die. We can manipulate Day-Night Cycle like crazy, though, so we can make sure that Brutal Cathar hits something. Phyrexian Obliterator. I mean, I guess we just Brutal Cathar it. Part of me wants to just let it hit me for 5 first. Alright, Mizumi Road Captains. That's all good. Five mana. Sheoldred's Edict. We'll definitely sack that one. Graveyard Trespasser, so he's gonna eat it. Just swing 2. Not in a rush. Get the Brutal Cathar to trigger here. We're just gonna eat the Graveyard Glutton, I think, anyway. We'll have to discard something, but probably fine. Gix, Yawgmoth, Playboy. I got a plan. Do Wandering Emperor, and we will uptick.
I hope you're ready to leave. Remember your training.
We'll take 4, and then he'll get to draw 2. But he's tapped out, and the damage actually helps us here. Guess we'll go like that. Let's see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can almost do lethal. Almost. Almost. Seems good.
are not much of a roadblock.
End the turn. We can play the Adversary. Or we can just Horned Loch-Whale. I think that's probably what we do. The Lagoon Breach. Yeah, there we go. This is a little bit more expensive than I'd like, but I think it's alright. We can keep it. Start with the beach. We'll go coast, probably Faerie Mastermind. We'll discard one of the Wandering Emperors. Which sounds crazy, I know, but we need to get to the mana, so... Okay, we'll hold up Protect the Negotiators, which means he can't play anything that's on curve, like a 3-drop. Pilfer? I have no choice, right? He should take the Protect the Negotiators. We can counter Shelly next turn. I mean, we might not even get to 4 mana to use that. So that's pretty good, I think. We're gonna hold up the counterspell and just race. Counterspell also makes us a dude, which helps us to continue to race. If he plays anything that's just him drawing cards, we're just going to let it happen so that we get a card off the Faerie Mastermind. Virus Beetle. That's gonna be too much card advantage. We were gonna lose something from our hand no matter what. Go ahead and trade with the 1/1. That's a good use of it. End the turn. Probably jamming the Werefox Bodyguard here. Come on, Shelly. Show me. Nope, Lily.
A fight? And you think you can win?
Making me sack a creature.
Haven't you ever heard of personal space?
Kind of difficult decisions, to be honest. Since we have a Brutal Cathar, I think I'm just gonna jam this. Maybe I should have just played the Brutal Cathar. Kind of worried about a sweeper now, though. He's clearly playing control. Channel something. What does he get back? Virus Beetle. Do what you gotta do. We'll activate the Faerie Mastermind's ability and draw an extra card, most likely. It's gotta kill at least 2 of our creatures here. Pile on. Okay. This looks fine. We'll keep it. Show you the Gavony Dawnguard. Hide all of our important things. Make you go, huh? I would like to check it out though. Tithe Harvester. Reinforcements. Pass turn. Can't attack because he thinks we'll trade both of our tokens for his Harvester. And at the end of the turn, we can just Werefox Bodyguard something. Bam, bam. Yes, we'll take one of those. And we'll swing 4. Good old tempo. End the turn. No. Oh, he has the cut down? I thought for sure he didn't, or he would have used it already. What a tricky bastard. What a tricky bastard. Gotta give him props for that one. But does he kill the Dawnguard? Does he realize how big of a threat it is? Good thing he skipped straight to chapter 2. Not sure what he would get though. Just gonna hold up Wandering Emperor and trigger the Dawnguard here. Go on, grab your Miglaws. I guess he could grab the Werefox Bodyguard. Oh. He's gonna grab the Miglaws. I don't know why he's oopsing. I mean, that's fine. Kill the Dawnguard. -6, -6. I don't think there's anything we can do about that. No. Let it go. Alright, Faerie Mastermind. Resolute Reinforcements. Swing in for 2. End the turn. Hold up Wandering Emperor. Shelly everywhere.
The energy of battle, then guide it like water. This is what you get for hurting my people.
Another Blood Tithe Harvester. Gavony Dawnguard. Gotta do it like that, unfortunately. And then we gotta go like this so that he can't cut down it, potentially.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
Just keeping him at 9. We got plenty of chump blockers. Welcome to Dog. You get nothing. What's he doing? Hello. Some of this.
Let your blade do the talking.
Swing in. Keeping him at 7 at least. 7 and 9, 7 and 9. Okay, kills the fairy. I'm actually okay with that. I thought he'd kill the Dawnguard.
Something suspicious is going on. And for once, it's not my fault. I've always hated crowds.
If he swings with both, he's leaving his guard down. We can crack back for at least 5, even if he kills the Emperor.
Strike fast and strike hard.
This actually puts him in a very difficult situation here, because we have first strike. He can trade with Glissa. Fortified Beachhead. Might have lethal now. Might have lethal now. Just gonna have to deal with our board state. We have more health than him.
We all have things we'd rather.
Errant and Giada can potentially play us another card off the top when we jam it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out that list after this game. What does he have?
May your blade strike true.
Go for the throat. There will be none of that. And then we might as well play this now, so that we trigger the Dawnguard. Give me that value. Oh, we whiffed. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26.
My time. Off you go.
Sack a creature. 1/1 goes bye-bye. Shielded. Needs a little bit of something. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. I think we just have lethal now.
Remember your training.
Unless he's got something for 1 mana. Oh shit. I'm wrong. Forgot the Faerie Mastermind didn't have... Damn it. That's a bummer. I forgot that the Faerie Mastermind had Summoning Sickness. Just because of how fast everything happened, it just... something in the back of my head registered it as like, oh, it was already there when you started the turn. But no, I played it right at the beginning of the turn with Flash from the top with Errant. So I didn't play it at the end of his turn. I played it at the beginning of mine, so it does have Summoning Sickness. But it, I don't know, for some reason it felt like the typical kind of scenario where you would play something with Flash at the end of their turn. Still think we can get there. We can kill Glissa with Eiganjo. Draw an extra card, which is kind of good, but kind of not. We cannot play the Brutal Cathar off the top with Errant and Giada. He does have to worry about the crackback, though. I have no idea what those last cards in his hand are. Yeah, it's kind of bad when an opponent has Shelly. I don't think it's necessarily bad, it's just kind of cancelled out. It can be bad if you get low, for sure. This lets us conserve all of our creatures to swing with and not lose our Wandering Emperor, which is pretty clutch. Grab the Brutal Cathar. Draw another card. See, the great thing here is if he counter spells it, we Brutal Cathar. And if he doesn't, we just win.
Edge in this fight.
Puts it at 1. Freaking 1, dude. Well, no. It would still be there for this turn, but it would eat it at the end of turn because I would have played the Adversary and the Brutal Cathar. So I still would have got it. It just wouldn't have helped enable my attacks, so I would have only swung in with the flyers. I would have done 3 less damage. So they would have been at 4 instead of 1, and then gone up to 6 instead of 3. But the Shelly would be gone. So, I don't know. Maybe it might have been worth it. Could double block here, but that feels bad. And he scooped. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.